Jeremy, are you there? I couldn't understand a word you said.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I mean, because it's a little cumbersome to set up, so it's live streaming now. I'll additionally click register as a backup when you're ready.
Okay, but I don't have a quorum.
Yeah, no, it's just,
Oh,
I
it's
might as well
me
just
and me.
start it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're Malcolm. I know. I did
You're
speak to
yeah.
Richard earlier, so
Um,
I don't know. I
Richard
don't know.
was
I didn't.
going
Go ahead.
Richard told me he had to work late and he wasn't sure whether he was going to be able to make it.
Okay. Do you know if Juanita is going to show up?
Um, I have no idea. I sent her the agenda with the date on it.
Can somebody call them up?
Yeah, I'll reach out to her. But Richard, you don't think is going to be here on time, right, Hazel?
He said if he did, he was going to come late, so I wouldn't count on him.
Hazel, how many more members do you need?
It needs one.
I don't know how much we're gonna wait.
Yeah, Juanita said she's stuck at work right now.
Okay. Well, there's nothing we can do then.
I'm gonna see if she can jump on. Hold on.
Okay.
And Hazel, I have to start the education meeting at 7, so I'm gonna have to jump out at some point.
All right, well, I mean, if she doesn't join us, then there's really not much we can do. We can't vote on anything, and
I know. I'm seeing. I asked her if she could jump on. Just waiting. She said she can jump on, so just bear with her, I guess.
okay, great.
Hazel, I have a question for you before we start. Is the board going to make an apology to the 5 people who were shouted down and whatever? I think the entire board should make an apology to these 5 people based on what happened at that meeting. And I say that as a committee member too.
In all the years that I've been doing public hearings and, look, we all knew that this public hearing was going to be very emotional. We have to let the public speak. I mean, there's no way that we can silence anyone, regardless of what their opinions are, whether we agree to them or not. I mean, I know that some people got out of hand, and myself, Jeremy, and Al really tried to control the crowd as much as we could. I don't know. It's a public hearing. There's really,
It's gone to the borough president and certain people are demanding an apology. I think the board should come up with a statement from all board members.
Bob,
I- and
the board members that were there behaved themselves. There was no problem with the board members. I see someone shaking their head. I'd like to know which board member was did not use proper decorum. The board members sat there. We tried to calm the crowd. I absolutely think it was wrong what was done. And you heard, I warned the crowd, Hazel warned the crowd, Jeremy asked the crowd, please let people speak. This is America. The last time I looked, everybody has a right to speak no matter what their opinions are. You've heard me say that a number of times. So it was the crowd, it wasn't the board. So for the board to make an apology would be that the board
Okay,
was
so
wrong.
then the board should put out that statement then, okay?
Spoke to the borough president's office, because again, the word that went out, everybody missed the message, the messages that were given. And that's sad, because what happened was people were zeroing in on the misconduct rather than those people that spoke, with conviction. And those people were basically ignored by the comments that I saw on Facebook and the comments that came to me from the borough president's office. She was upset, but she saw a video that was sent showing, and the behavior was absolutely unruly, and there's no reason for it at all, ever. The same thing happened at Maestro's, and people were warned. They were told not to. They were told exactly what would happen if they did speak out, and it did. It happened exactly what I said would happen. So again, the board members sat there. They did nothing wrong. So for the board to apologize, there's nothing else we could have done, short of having the speaker not speak until the crowd stopped talking. That's what we go. Again, hindsight's 2020. That's what we'll do the next time. In other words, the speaker stops talking until the crowd calms down, and then continues. If the crowd starts up again, the person stops talking. And if that's going to continue, then we'll just call the meeting and go home. Because that was, it was unfortunate that people would shut it down. That should never happen in this country. That's not what it's about. I don't like when I see it on college campuses. I don't like what happened the other night at the Jacoby.
I think from what I saw on the Twitter posts and the videos that I saw, I absolutely do think that we have a responsibility to respond, right? I do not think that we should sit idly and watch other community members be shut out of a conversation. I don't think we should watch other perspectives be shut out. And I think that I saw, people in this very room were threatened, on those videos. So for us to stay silent and to not speak up on this means that we condone these things. I absolutely do think that we should apologize and we should lead in the situation, right? I don't think that we should cower away, but we should absolutely lead in the situation and apologize for what happened, because we could have taken better precautions, right? Knowing from prior experiences of what has happened with such passionate topics. So that's my take on it.
Hi, I'd like to
I
chime in just for 1 second. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I totally agree with Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm, for speaking up. But I was a little confused looking at these videos that lots of people posted, and they weren't edited videos, they were live videos, but there were like 3 board members that actually spoke. And I thought that the point of this hearing was for us to listen. So can you clarify what happened there? Thank you.
Well, some of us wear more than one hat. In other words, I sit on the community board, but I'm also president of the Morris Park Association. And at that point, I was speaking for the community members of the association. So when I spoke, that's who I spoke for. I did not speak for the community board.
Was that appropriate at this time, since it was a community board meeting?
Not to speak as a community board member, but I didn't. I spoke as Morris Park Community Association.
I mean, but the line was very blurred. I mean, I don't think that a lot of people understood that.
But wouldn't I have a duty to represent my community also?
I don't think that was the point. And correct me if I'm wrong here, somebody else who has, experience being on a board, but I thought the point was for us to listen to community members.
And that's true.
And I did go to the executive meeting, and I know that Yahe did say that, our members were to stay, we were there to listen, not to respond. And I think that, I'm sorry, Al, but I think that for you to say you're wearing 2 different hats, kind of, it crosses a certain line there. There's certain type of ethics that has to be upheld. And I think that when you're speaking using a different hat during a meeting where you are the vice president, the vice chair, it's murky. You know what I mean? I think that if we're at community board meetings, that we have to be community board members and we have to follow through with the
In all honesty, Malcolm, I was not there as a community member. That was Hazel's meeting. It wasn't my meeting.
Right.
I wasn't there. I'm not even on that committee.
And I get that. But even then, like I saw a video in one of the videos, one of the guys, I'm sorry, I don't want to call out his name. I'm not going to expose him. But there was a guy that you walked by that was harassing one of the cameramen. You didn't say anything. You walked right by. You didn't speak up for him. You didn't speak up for our board. You know, that was a disaster. I sent a letter earlier in the summer, you know, explaining why I thought that, you know, the way that we were handling the situation was wrong. And I didn't receive any response from our executive members. Not one.
Malcolm,
I'm personally, I'm let down, you know, and as a person of color, I felt like if I had went there and I had spoke up, I would have been on the front lines of that, you know, and I do not think that we're handling these situations in the way that professional members are supposed to be handling these situations.
Malcolm, I did mention, I believe 2 or 3 times, I asked the crowd to calm down and I told them what would happen if they continue. A number of times I had words with 2 members of the group that were there because of their rudeness. So I did try as Al D'Angelo, not as chair of the community board. I just tried to calm the community. You know, you did mention maybe we should do something different. I would be open to any ideas you might have. The only one I came up with, and again, as I said, hindsight's 20/20, was the fact that the person who's speaking stops until the crowd stops. And if that doesn't happen, the person just doesn't continue to talk. You know, I truly believe everybody should be able to be heard. Whether I agree or disagree, that's not the point. The thing is, people should be able to be heard. And what happened was terrible. Was not, and I don't like the way it was reported very negatively. Nothing positive came out of that. There was. I looked at the.
No, I'm sorry. I disagree with you, Al. The reports. The videos that came out, you know, showed exactly what happened. And, you know, the person reporting that is not at fault for that. And people getting threatened at that meeting are not at fault for getting threatened.
Absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the bits that were chosen to be shown weren't the whole. You know, if we had the whole thing shown, there was a lot of good came out of that meeting. There was a lot of good things being said, but that was overshadowed by the rudeness of the people. I thought.
I'm sorry. I saw a live video.
I have.
What I saw was mostly rudeness coming from.
With all due respect, I have problems with those that are commenting about the event that weren't there, that are commenting solely based on video. I'm going to say that the job that Al D'Angelo did in telling people and trying to refrain people and trying to tell them to give everyone an opportunity to speak was admirable. He said it on numerous occasions. He talked to people as they were going near the cameraman. He can only tell them so. He's one person in a room of 500 people. I also encouraged everyone to try to listen to what people had to say because everyone has an opportunity to speak fairly. I watched the video and I wish that my entire speech was shown instead of edited because I think a lot of you could have been educated.
But there were live videos that were shown in its entirety. You know, it was on live.
Allow me, Ms. Culpepper, please allow me to finish. Please allow me to finish, and then I'll give you, Ms. Culpepper, you're interrupting me. Please allow me to finish, and then I will give you an opportunity to
speak. Live videos that were not edited.
Ms. Culpepper, please give me an opportunity to speak, and then I will let you speak. I don't like to be interrupted.
Tino, are you a member of the board? Only the board is supposed to be speaking now. The gallery speaks for 2 minutes later on. Who is running this meeting?
Yeah, Hazel?
Well, I'm trying to educate those that weren't at the meeting, and I'm trying to tell exactly what happened. But if that's the case, then I will speak later. So I didn't understand the structure of the meeting, but I was there. I was encouraging everyone to allow everyone to speak and to hear what's, you know,
And Mr. Marmorata, like I was saying, there was a live video that showed your testimony, showed everybody's testimony, and showed exactly what was going on without any editing.
Excuse
My
me.
video wasn't edited. My video wasn't edited.
There was a
It was
live
showed- it was
video
showed-
again.
It was.
There
Okay,
was,
so
Mr. Marmorata, you're not listening to me. And what I said was there was a live video that was unedited that was being, you know, I mean, it was going live on Facebook, and it showed everything that was happening without any edits, without any stopping. It went right through the entire meeting.
Okay,
Let me break.
Okay, I muted everybody because we just let's put in order. I've stopped everybody's ability to unmute themselves. I will restore it. I do have to make Hazel a co-host. I will make Malcolm a co-host because, again, as I discussed earlier, people, I have to leave. I have to start another meeting at 7 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, I know Malcolm is part of that other committee. That's something we have to think about in the future when we schedule meetings back to back, because Malcolm is a member of the Housing Committee as well as the Education Committee. Juanita asked me to text her the link for the meeting tonight. I did do that. I don't think she's in yet. So, I mean, it's almost 7 o'clock. Hazel, do you still want to keep having? Let me give you the ability to unmute. Hazel, do you want to keep going? Do you want to wait? I mean, it's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah, at this point, there's really no reason for us to continue because we can't really do anything without a quorum. I just want to say, could we have done a better job? Yes, probably yes. But when you're talking about shelters, when you're talking about group homes, when you're talking about an issue like this, people come to these meetings with their feelings. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hotheads. There were a lot of people in that meeting, and there were a lot of people in that meeting that were calm, respectful, and had to say what they had to say. There were those few that, yes, they did get disrespectful and they did get loud and they did get abusive. But in the entirety of the meeting, I think that Just Homes got the message, which was the point of this meeting, that this proposal should not go through. So if I ever have another public hearing, I will make sure that I handle that meeting the way that I normally handle my own, because it did get out of control to a certain point.
Right.
Can I just say, in terms of, moving forward, one of the things that Malcolm suggested, just so that we can keep a focus, is, whether or not we issue an apology for what took place. And honestly, whether we think the project should move forward or not, irrelevant. I think that we don't lose anything by just saying, hey, what happened the other day wasn't, the way it should have gone. And, we apologize for that. I don't think we as a community board lose anything by doing that, because as it is, from what I'm seeing, even on social media, there's a lot of, blame falling onto the community board for what happened. So if that's the case, let's just, it's not going to hurt us to take a loss, so to speak, and just say, you know what, we apologize for this. And moving forward, the format will be handled in such and such way.
Cynthia, you're right. And the only reason I said that earlier is I didn't want the people that were there, the board members that were there, to have to take the heat. It absolutely could have been done better. If anybody has any ideas when you have a group meeting like that, we would love to hear them. The only thing I came up with, as I said, after hindsight's 2020, is possibly just stopping the person speaking and tell them to stop until the crowd. I don't know what else we could have done unless we had police presence there and had people removed. And that would be the only other thing. We didn't have enough police there. Otherwise, we would have done that. But we only had, I think there were 3 police officers there. So again, you're right. I guess we can't apologize for the situation. I don't want any of our board members to take heat. Again, it wasn't my meeting. It was Hazel's. I think she did the best she could under the circumstances. And I don't want her to take, or any of the other board members that were there that were on that committee, to take the heat for being guilty for what happened. You know, again, we can word it in such a way that they don't have to take the heat. I'm all for it.
I definitely understand that. I think moving forward, I think I do want to bring this up to the larger board, is when we have members who wear, as Al said, different hats, there has to be certain rules and ethics that they have to uphold. And I do think in these issues, maybe if you're going to wear different hats, those members shouldn't be able to vote during these issues.
No, you're probably right, Malcolm. Again, hindsight's 20/20, and you make a mistake is not a problem. You're probably right. I should have stayed mute because again, I have an association, and the people have, they need a voice. But again, they could have come themselves and voiced whatever opinion they had. So that's something that I'll correct, and I apologize for that. You're probably right. I shouldn't have spoken up.
Al, if I might, members of the media with cameras stay at the back of the auditorium. I'm a full-fledged member of the media, so I know this. I'm at press conferences with media cameras, and the cameras are at the back. They're not at the front of the auditorium. I was not wearing my press card, but I am free to roam around the audience with this press card. Okay, that's what the press card is for. And that's why people are given media cards, so they are identified as media. I don't believe I saw a media card on Mr. Koss, okay? And I don't believe he's a member of the media because there are certain rules and regulations that you have to meet.
Hazel, I don't think that we should allow Robert to be calling out members that's in our meeting. I think that is unethical. I think that puts people in a certain environment that's dangerous to them. So I think that, if we're going to speak, that we shouldn't call out people by their names, right? You can address a situation without
the man up front claiming to be in the media. Okay, did you see a media card like this on him? No, not in any video. This is an official New York City police.
Rob, I do think that if you're a press, that you should definitely understand the need for, safety, right? And I think that, calling names in these situations, in these passionate moments, is very irresponsible.
I agree. And it's not the first time that I've heard his name being called out, and by community members, as a matter of fact. I think that puts people in danger, and I think
Jesus, I'm so sorry. My phone is giving me so much trouble. I'm going to just bring this meeting to a halt. I don't know. This is a really important topic that we have to really continue to address. So I'm going to speak to the executive board and see if maybe I can schedule another meeting where all of my committee members will be in attendance so that we can make motions if we have to. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and I do apologize for not having a quorum. I really expected everyone to be here tonight.
Thank you, Hazel. I'd also like to just mention to people, please, if you have any ideas, board members, have any ideas how to conduct these meetings where something like that doesn't happen, I'd love to hear from you. Or give us an idea of again, we're open for any kind of suggestion.
When I used to be on the Health and Social Service Committee back when I was first on the community board, and I co-chaired with Blanche, whenever a crowd got rowdy, and this was all about group homes, and people get, like I said, they get very emotional about these topics. And the group homes that we had been talking about were for people that either had some kind of a mental issue or had cerebral palsy. And the first meeting that I attended, I could not believe what the audience was saying about these poor people. So at the next meeting, I kind of, made rules. I should have made rules for this meeting, but you have to understand at a committee meeting, you only get about maybe 30 people the most. That public hearing, there was at least 300 people there. There is no way that one person can control 300 people. We could have put a stop to that meeting as soon as they got rowdy, but then we would have had a riot on our hands and things would have really escalated, which is why we went on with the meeting and ended it the way that we did. Could we do a better job? Absolutely. And we will discuss this at my next committee meeting, at our executive board meeting, at our leadership meeting. But we could only do the best that we could do that night. And, you know, those people had a mob mentality, and you have to understand that. And when people bring their feelings to any kind of meeting, you know that somehow things are going to just get out of control. So whether or not we apologize, I don't have anything to apologize for. I did my job the best that I could. If I have to apologize for the audience, that's a different thing. But that should not be my job either. People did get out of control, like I said, and it was beyond our control. So next time we'll do things a lot better than we did. So again, thank you guys for coming. I apologize for not being able to go on with the meeting the way that I wanted to. There were a couple of things on the agenda that really needed to discuss, but I will quickly say that 1682 Stillwell Avenue, the DOB audit was completed, and DOB is sending out a 15-day notice to revoke, I guess, their permit. So I guess we'll just, give everybody an update when we get an update on that. So thank you very much, and everybody have a good night.
Thanks, Hazel.
Hazel, do you need to shut off the meeting?
Yeah, I don't know how to do this.
Hold on. I don't know if I could do it. All right. I could do it. I'll shut it off.
Okay.
Good?
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.